Okay, Sisters fans, last night was the 100th episode of the series, Season 5, Episode 9, Pursuit for Truth. It was not a good episode. Look, I've spoken with probably about 7 people since last night. And yeah, it was last night. A few of them said, I enjoyed the episode. It was awesome. I thought it was okay. And then thankfully there were some people that agree with me, so I wasn't, sounding like, a stick in the mud. I did not care for this episode. 3 out of 10. There was so much wrong with it that I don't even know where to start. And if you don't like, you're being negative, click off the video, because this video ain't going to get no better. It did have some good moments, but overall, it wasn't good. This certainly didn't fit the bill of a 100th episode, And like I said before, over the past couple of days, there have been a bunch of montage videos like, let's take a journey back to the beginning, or 100, it's like every 100 episodes in 100 seconds or something like that. And the sad part, especially when we watch the special, and that will have its own separate video. It's sad when you watch certain moments from season 1 or even season 2. And it just drives the point home even further. 100 episodes in, and not a damn thing has changed. Alright. Problem number 1 with the episode. We spent damn near 20 minutes in Andy's office. 16 to be exact. Not counting commercials. I'm pretty sure there was one commercial break in there. But we spent the first quarter of the episode, the hour runtime on TV with commercials. We spent that long in Andy's office. On the one hand, I did like the scene because of a couple things. Number one, it was written in such a way where, based on the past week, I've been dealing with hell on Twitter because of what I said about, my thoughts on the Danny situation. You had those who felt like Fatima, who were like, yo, it was self-defense, and, he was out of line and all this, that, and the third. I was coming from the Andy perspective of, look, this is how things look from the legal perspective. Even if you wanted to go after this guy, even if he deserved what you did to him, that ain't going to fly in the court of law. So there were those who were like, well, he spit on her, he did this and that, so yeah, he deserved it. It was self-defense, he deserved to die. And the way Fatima was acting, I'm like, from a writing perspective, it was brilliant, because that room was filled with people with the differing perspectives of how to handle the situation, just like us, the fans, were online. But it did kind of drag out a bit too long. And the fact that it got to the point where Danny started deflecting, where I'm like, you know what, Danny, you making good points about Andy. But then it's like, every time Danny made a good point, it's kind of like, well, say what you want about Andy and how dumb it is for her to still be messing around with Gary. She didn't almost kill someone. And another man. Woo, I did not like this episode. Okay. So let's kind of backtrack. Danny explains to Andy what happened. And as a lot of people did guess, the moment that Jonah spit on her was when she blacked out and just went wild, just went crazy. And she didn't confirm whether or not that he was alive or dead, which does make sense. And from there, you had Fatima, who came back in the room with some water. I like the fact that Fatima stepped out, though. I like that little detail. I did like that. The fact that she's like, you know what? Hey, I helped Danny get set up. Andy's in here. I'm going to leave. Then Fatima got called back by Andy, and Danny's like, no. And then Andy's like, wait, but hey, she can help you. I don't like this. Here's why. Andy, just because you got help contacting Sabrina via Madam, I don't think you... I think that she's... I keep using this example, but I know a lot of y'all probably ain't anime fans. If you watch Dragon Ball Super, when the Omni King Zeno gave Goku the button, or the Zeno button, so Goku can like go instantly to Zeno's palace to play, or to have Zeno called directly to where Goku is, it just feels like the easy button from Target. Or Staples. That was easy. It's like anytime the most minor inconvenience happens, let me just hit this button and Fatima's going to get Madam to come up and clean it up. Or in Dragon Ball, it's like Zeno show up and like erase this enemy from reality because they're too strong. Or, easy example, you know, just using the Dragon Balls to, oh, somebody died, I'll just wish him back to life. Ooh, these planets blew up during our fight, I'll just bring them back with the Dragon Balls. It just feels too easy, and I hope that down the line, it gets to the point where Andy does rack up a debt, and then like Mordo said in Doctor Strange, the bill comes due. Always. Andy, somebody needs to sit and explain to Andy, because it evidently didn't get through her skull when Madam was right in front of her. You can't call in Madam to get things settled and not expect the favors to pile up. Or, at the very least, not be able to pay when it's time. So, Andy better just stop with the whole, Fatima can do this, Fatima can... Hey. You're saying Fatima, but in reality, you mean Madam. But thankfully, based on what we saw, it seems like Fatima handled this herself. I could be wrong, though. But it just seems like Fatima used her contacts, her sources, to look into this. But yeah, so she explains the situation, and Fatima's like, whoa, yeah, well, it was self-defense. And I'm like, no, it was not. Because he had left the apartment. I'm like, thank you, Andy, for saying this is exactly what, when I was catching flack for saying that Fatima and Zach both deserve to be in jail for what they did to Hayden because it was stupid as hell. Not to say Hayden isn't a scumbag and didn't deserve what he got, but you can't sit up here and cheer for Fatima and Zach and then say, well, they shouldn't be in jail when they broke the damn law, you know? And then when Andy, like, you know, like, talked to them like children, it's like, well, she does sound condescending, but she's absolutely right. I will admit, the one part that had me going against Andy was like, you know, I forbid you from talking to each other. Andy, these some grown ass women. They can call each other if they want to. You can't just, I don't know. But then again, Andy was the proverbial stick in the mud. But at the same time, I agreed with a majority of what she was saying. Not to mention, y'all, hey, look, y'all can, like, you know, talk about this and that, about how you want to kill this person, that person, and whatnot, get revenge. But guess what? When y'all locked up, that's pretty much it. It's like Andy was like, look, y'all might think I'm a stick in the mud. Y'all might be, you know, trying to conspire behind my back because you don't want to do things the way I suggest, but y'all want to do it the street way. But when you do it the street way and get locked up, who you going to be calling? Me? Absolutely right. Yeah. But in any case, she does manage to remember Jonah's name, Scott, which was a clever way of going back. Wait, I met him at the airport. He was on the flight. Last name, Jonah, Scott. So yeah, Juniper Street, which I do feel like we known this. I forgot if it was brought up before, but Juniper Street is where Danny lives. And this happened at 3 How long were these two getting drinks? It was 3 freaking a.m. when this whole situation happened. Now, Fatima goes to look it up, and there were no reports yet of any kind of deaths, because if he was dead, it would have been on the news and everything by now, but no, that wasn't the case. But she did get some contacts, and he's in the hospital. He has some broken ribs, and the story is he fell off from a motorcycle. Okay. And Fatima's like, look, all I need to do is make one phone call and this dude's done. And Danny's like, do it. Yeah. Hey, just say the word. Danny was like, word. And Andy's like, no. But, you know, Danny's like, you know, vouch for like, look, you know, Andy, you need to keep her. She good. She cool with me. But in any case, I do like Fatima's like, look, Danny, I don't know you like that, but what that dude did to you, just let me know. I will have it handled. So let me just jump ahead real quick. Fatima helping with Sabrina. Danny got some help from Fatima. Andy getting closer with Fatima each episode. Karen going to be alone in the corner with that baby if she don't come around. But even so, she's done way too much to like try to, get on Fatima's soft side now. That ain't happening. Karen going to be alone. You can say what you want to. All right. Also, when Fatima was looking things up, when Andy was like madam in training, Andy, I felt some kind of way about the way she said that though. I'm like, and the way, if you look back at how Fatima looked up from her phone, I was like, Andy, you can talk slick all you want, but you better be careful with that tongue. That's all I'm saying. Because the way she said that, it's like, do I need to call madam on you? But it's like, no, for Fatima, she don't need madam. She can handle that herself. So it did feel a bit like Andy was too much of a authority figure as opposed to like, I don't know. I feel like I'm tripping over my words here. I didn't hate the scene. I just feel like in some ways it went on a bit too long. But in any case, after confirming Jonah was alive, that's pretty much it. And Fatima walks out. And we get a talk between Andy and Danny. See, we're 12 minutes into this damn video. And I'm still on the first scene. Trust and believe. I'm going to fly through the rest of it because not much else happened. All right. So, Danny's like, well, he's alive. I'm going to work. He's like, whoa. What we're not going to do is you're not going to just come to my office and then just leave. No, we're going to talk about this because you almost killed a man. And we get the classic Danny where when I rewatched the scene this morning, kind of like what I said earlier, while she was making valid points, she was going, well, Miss, you really think I'm going to take advice from Miss Gary? So Danny's the kind of person where she can dish out real talk, but she can't take real talk. Just like the other sisters. When they're called out for something, they'll either get angry, they'll deflect, or they'll just simply walk away. That was Danny. So even though she made nothing but valid points about Andy and Gary, this wasn't the time for that. But there was a point where, when Andy was talking about don't run away from your trauma and you need to call Preston, you need to do this and that. And she was like, well, what about you and Crazy Gary? Like, what do you mean? We talk about what I went through, but what about him, bruising your ribs and whatnot? Yeah, and I'm dealing with that. And this is the part where she told Danny about keeping Gary calm because Gary tried to sue her for the house and the car and everything. But here's the problem with that. I think this could either be the writing or this just could be Andy trying to convince, Danny that, hey, you know what? Well, Gary did this. He tried to sue me. And in order to prevent that, I had to, fuck him in order to keep him calm. Which does not line up with what was, and then she's like, I got a big client and then, me being sued isn't going to look good. What? I think she's lying. She literally told, well, okay, maybe it's this. And plus, not to mention, you don't have a big client. Robin's the one who got linked up to Gary via Hayden. Is that the big client she was talking about where, yeah, I have we have a big client coming in and to actually have this client suing me won't be a good look. Okay, but think of it this way. You literally told Gary, you bought that stuff for me, but you didn't pay for the taxes. I did that. So basically, even if you took this to court, I would easily win since everything's in my name. I think Andy was trying to save face. Basically making excuses for why, Danny caught her doing what she was doing. But I spoke about this too much. I'll talk about more in a separate video, but let's just move on. I'm just looking at my notes real quick. Yeah, so then Fatima shows back up And apparently Jonah has a record, several assault cases, hence why he didn't call the police. So Danny is good to go. Okay. No consequences? Fine. Now, we go over to Zach, getting groceries out the trunk of his car. Deja comes over. And I like, because I was watching, I'm like, Deja, you better not get closer. And Zach was like, hey, don't come any closer than that. I just want to be a good neighbor, help you with your grocery bags. And she kept going for it. And I'm like, Deja, for someone who was literally told by Madam last night to leave Fatima's man alone, you ain't doing a good job. I mean, sure, you were warning Zach about Madam. Okay, that's one thing. But, that mouth just kept going. When this fool said, Fatima and Madam, they notorious. And then we heard Zach say notorious. That was kind of a running thing of the episode where you got these strippers and dancers not being able to spell or say words correctly. We see that later with Heather. But yeah, basically Deja warned Zach. And this is the part that blew my mind. You're still engaged to Fatima, right? Yeah. Wait, what? Well, I don't know what's going on with that, because sometimes she wears the ring, sometimes she doesn't. Separate universes, separate continuities. But if Zach and Fatima are already engaged in Sistas, what in the world could Zach be planning to ask Fatima during their dinner date that night? Because remember that morning, aka the last episode, he's like, I want to ask you a question. Well, you got to wait till we go out tonight for me to ask you. If it ain't a proposal, then what is it? Setting a date for the wedding? I don't know what the hell Zach's doing. So it is funny because it gets to the point that Zach is fed up with Deja. It's like, could you describe her? Well, there she go right there. And then he's lying like, Madam's right there. And then Deja rushes into her house and, Zach does the same. Now from there, this scene with Karen and Aaron, so a couple things here. Apparently, Miss Lisa had called Aaron like 5 times, basically to make sure he was on his way over there, that he made it over there okay, that Karen's okay. And basically that lets Karen know that, wow, I really can't go anywhere because my mom knows everything. It's like she probably and then I think Aaron was like, she's probably tracking your phone. It's like, wait, you think so? Yeah. I don't know. I mean, maybe Miss Lisa is on it. But this fool Aaron comes by all happy and shit. And he's like, and she's like, wait, what do you got a bag for? Oh, I'm moving in. And I'm like, what the? Whoa, wait, what? Okay, now you're doing too much, man. I mean, you coming over, agreeing to help is one thing, but you just like, hey, I'm moving in. Do you not have a place of your own? What's going on here, man? What are you doing, Aaron? I guess you're going to work remote now. Like, you're going to do your work for the church, from your computer and whatnot over at Karen's, because this is a bit much. But I don't really like Karen and Aaron scenes, and it's not because I just hate the characters, because trust and believe, I'll let you know when I hate certain people. But it's just that it's just a revolving door with these two. You know what they're going to say before they say it, because of the fact that nothing has changed. It's the same thing over and over and over. Apparently, okay, first things first, Pam is apparently setting up Karen's next doctor's appointment, and she does call out Aaron for his doctor friend telling Aaron that Karen was in the hospital, and Aaron admits to that, and she's like, don't do that again. And I'm like, why didn't you do that last night at the dinner thing? Not to mention apologize to Fatima, because it's like, because of you, Aaron, because you did some underhanded stuff, I went off on Fatima. That's not to blame Aaron for what Karen did, but it's like, well, Fatima, I was wrong. Let me explain why I called you and did what I did. So I feel like that was fucked up, number one. Number two, she literally says what we've all been saying. So do you want to talk about last night? No, not really, because I said everything I need to say. Well, you heard what I said about you and Zach. So why are you like still? I was literally, for one of the first times, and I don't know when, I'm sitting up here like, Karen, I'm right there with you. I'm just as confused. I don't know what Aaron is doing. Did he not hear you at the dinner? Why is he still trying? Somebody said something pretty profound on Twitter to me last night. They were like, hey, Jeremy, maybe Aaron is trying as hard as he is with Karen, even though she's fighting him every step along the way, because he feels like he failed with his wife and he doesn't want to go through that again. That's a valid claim, but at the same time, it's just ridiculous. So, it gets to the point, like, he's going to take care of you. It's like, well, the girls are coming. Well, yeah, do they know about your favorite ice cream and pickles the way I do? Yeah, kinda. Do they rub your feet the way I do? Okay, we're not going there, Aaron, all right? And then it gets to the point where, oh yeah, my mom looking through an article, it's like, to see who a person is, your man go through his phone, and she's like, I don't want to go through your phone, but then she doesn't hesitate when he does hand it over to her, gives her the passcode, and then, he's like, would you like chicken or steak? Pasta. Oh yeah, she's like, I need your emails too. But you're not together. Seriously, you're not even together, so what exactly is going through his phone going to prove? Like, I don't really get the point of that. This is just like Miss Lisa with the letters. I don't get the point of this. So, in any case, he's sent to get pasta because she wants pasta. I would have been like, look, chicken or steak? You know how much gas is? Look, I don't know. On the one hand, I'm like, here we go, Karen being a brat. But then when he was about to leave and she was like, oh, here's your phone. Keep it. Oh, wow. And then as soon as he left, Zach would never do this kind of shit. And I'm thinking, not with you. He sure as hell did it with Fatima. So Aaron left. Now, part of me is like, man, Karen's a brat, sending this man to the store for pasta when he ain't got none. But it's kind of like a twofold thing. Number one, she did say since the girls are coming by, to get lost. But then also, it was probably a bit of a test to see whether or not he would allow her to keep the phone when he was gone. But part of me is like, man, I feel bad for Aaron. She's walking all over him and shit. But he's allowing this to happen. So I really can't feel sorry for him. I really can't. So kind of jumping ahead, Andy does call Karen. I think when she was still at the law firm. Yeah, before they go to see Sabrina in jail. And apparently it's been over an hour him getting that pasta, but she's been through the phone, hasn't found anything. And Andy says, well, maybe you're just looking for something that isn't there. All those years with Zach, all the problems and everything, you're just assuming that Aaron is the same way. So that's why you're being a bit paranoid. Well, I'm sure your girl told you about what happened at the dinner. No, I think this is my cue to get off the phone. And still no word for Sabrina. So, the girls, aka Danny and Andy, might try to come by later. So they get off the phone. And that's just another indication of the difference between Andy and Karen versus Andy and Fatima. Karen is like, you're only her friend so long as you're useful to her, because more often than not, these two only talk and whatnot is when Karen needs something, when she needs to be heard or checked up on, as opposed to, Andy, I just want to chill. Versus Fatima, where it's like, hey girl, you doing all right? Let's talk for a little bit, that kind of thing. And we see this when they're actually leaving the law firm, and they're going to meet up the next day. I don't know. I really love the camera work of this scene. When we see Andy and Fatima walking through the hallways. I don't know. I just love the cinematography of that. So Andy heads out, and then Fatima catches a glimpse of Heather, and she goes up to her and asks what she's doing there. And it's like, well, you seen the DNA results. Wait, so are you saying that in Sistas we're now ahead of the cliffhanger ending of Zatima season 1? Also, how does Heather know about the DNA results? What's going on? So she's there to talk for a lawyer about child support. Turns out Hayden is that lawyer. Okay. And as Fatima said, you're not even a child support lawyer. I'll be whatever I'll be whatever lawyer I gotta be in order to get that man in jail, Zach. Because apparently Heather is dating a guy who's part of Chainbreakers, who mentioned to Hayden, because he's a lawyer, that, hey, Heather is trying to get child support from her baby daddy. And like Hayden said, man, usually I wouldn't take that kind of case, just some hood rat shit. But then I found out the name of the man, Zachary Taylor. Ho, 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 I want to get his ass. So I do like the fact it was kind of funny Heather not being able to spell Hayden's name and then, not being able to find his office. That was pretty funny. So then Fatima is like, oh gosh, here we go. Okay, last two scenes. We got the airport. Danny is there and she calls Preston and he's like, look, it's hard for me not to call you. And she asks if he's able to come so they can talk because there's something that she wants to tell him and he'll catch the next flight. And she's like, can you drive? And I don't know if that's like telling Preston, hey, can you like drop everything and drive back to Atlanta? Because that's going to be faster than you catching a flight. I don't know. But didn't Preston say a few episodes ago, like it was basically it was the day before that morning. He was like, hey, I want to catch a flight and come back so we can talk. And then Danny never called him back or said, come meet me. So did Preston just not come? Again, like I said, the writing is just way off in this episode. So Preston agrees to come back. And they're going to talk in the front of her house on the street. Yeah, the front of the house. Okay, I guess. And I was like, that kind of makes sense because after everything that went down, I can understand why Danny probably wouldn't want Preston back in there. But I guess maybe the thing that she wants to tell him is how messy she is. Like, right here in the parking lot is where I did something so crazy. So, I don't know. All right, so Q approaches. He tries to flirt. Danny ain't in the mood, obviously, after everything that's been going down. And I'm not going to lie. When she had a look of shock on her face, I'm like, oh, hell. Jonah was sitting right there. And I'm like, yo, is she having a nightmare? Like, just a hallucination? But no, Jonah was right there without a fucking scratch on him. All he had was one crutch. So Danny did confirm it was a big stick because I went back to the episode and I'm like, okay, yeah, it was like a giant, a pretty thick branch stick that she used to wail on Jonah before he got in his car and then she busted the windows and everything. It was a big stick. So you're telling me Jonah got wailed something fierce on like the back, on his back of the head and everything. Then when he got in his car, he was showered by the shards of the car window that got busted on him. And then when she rammed her car into his, without him being in a seatbelt, he doesn't have a cut, a bruise, a scrape, nothing. And despite being reported to have broken ribs, he's just sitting in the airport all casual with one crutch. Are you freaking kidding me right now? So in any case, Danny's spooked and Q is concerned. And I'm just sitting here like, I know good and hell well Tyler isn't trying to give this guy a redeeming quality. Because, hate to say it, this was the best scene of the episode. And I'm like, I never thought that a Q scene would be the best scene of an episode. But this man steps up to Jonah because he could just tell and he knows something's off. He's like, the flight's delayed by like 2 minutes. So what's he still doing here? The gate's closed. So he approaches him and Jonah's like, I'm waiting for my son. And then Danny checks the file and it's like, yeah, there is one child that's on the flight. But Q's like, hey, you see this ankle bracelet? Come on, do something. I'm trying to get fired. So then, after that, he goes over to Danny to kind of calm him down. It's like, why'd you do that? Look, I'm trying to get fired. Well, quit. I can't. This is where it's like, okay. Yes, Logan's like, hey, you need to get a legit job. That way, when it's time to go to court, when you testify, it looks good on you to actually have a legit job as opposed to being someone who would rob a bank. So Q's like, if I quit my job, I'll get arrested. But I'm trying to do everything I can to get fired. But if you get fired after only being on the job for not even 2 days, are you going to try to get another job before you go to court? Tyler, this makes no sense at all. Final scene. Danny is masquerading as Andy's paralegal, and they're sitting in the room waiting for Sabrina to be brought in. And Andy mentions how, yes, this is, this isn't legal, and it's like, you need to be quiet. It might be recording us. It's like, I'm scared. Like, you dress like you're in a porno or something. I ain't gonna lie, Danny looked kind of good with them big, ridiculous shades on, the glasses. Again, I don't know if those were like a different pair of glasses or if they were the same big shades that she had when she went to the law firm, but she like poked the lenses out. I don't know. Maybe it was her hair, but Danny did look hella good. I ain't gonna lie. I just hope she doesn't run me over for a car. But yeah, so Sabrina's brought in, and I got some flack for this because I posted about this last night. The way she was snapping on Andy and Danny, I'm like, if I was there trying to help your ass get out of jail and you raised your voice at me, I would have got up nicely, told the guard I'm leaving. Sabrina gets brought back to her cell and I'm done. Because what you're not going to do is catch an attitude with me. But some people are like, Jeremy, it's misplaced anger. Jail makes people that way. It's the fact that, it seemed like Andy didn't want to tell her what she knew. That's understandable, but at the same time, from the Andy perspective, okay, how do I tell Sabrina that there's some damning evidence against her that might be so bad that we can't get her out of here? I understand, but all I'm saying is, I just don't like when people raise their voice at me. It's something, when you got loud parents growing up, it kind of sticks with you as an adult. So yeah, I don't know. Sabrina was at a 15, she needed to bring it down to like a 3. Because, yeah, you don't know what's going on. You just got scooped out of your job, and now you're in jail. Of course, you're going to be mad. But these are the first people who have come to see you. Well, the first people who have been able to see you. Because, remember, without Madam intervening, Sabrina probably would have been locked up, like, what was it? All weekend and not being able to see anybody. So, can we assume that it's Friday in the Sistas universe? I don't know. But, in any case, I'm just sitting there the whole time looking at Danny, and, she's like, and Sabrina, I ain't gonna lie, I wanted to give Sabrina a hug. Everybody's so mean in here. And then, yeah, because it's jail. And, like, Danny, yeah, she wasn't trying to be funny. It's like, look, I'm just trying to, like, jail makes people mean. And I'm looking at Danny the whole time, because I'm just like, Danny got off so easy. If Jonah had been killed, or if he didn't have a police record and called to report what she did to him, she would be on the other side of that table where Sabrina is right now. That was my main thought. And I'm just sitting there the whole time. Danny, all you had to do was tell Sabrina what Logan said. Get a good lawyer. But you didn't do that. You were just making jokes. And that's what kind of made me mad. It kind of reminded me of like why I didn't feel as bad for her predicament with Jonah being spit in the face. Because I'm like, you're over here, hot girl summering it up while your girl's in jail. And now you almost ended up in prison yourself. So next thing you know, Andy's explaining the situation about the recording and everything about how they got locked up. Well, what about Robin? Are they getting me out? Or is he going to help the way he helped out Zach and Zatima? How the hell does Sabrina know about this? You could argue that because somebody's like on Twitter, well, didn't Andy tell Karen the moment that Zach got arrested in front of her when she showed up at the law firm? Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember. I don't know if she said that Robin was helping out with that. I know that she explained the whole Hayden situation, but I don't know if Robin got involved in terms of her dialogue. Not to mention, even if Andy told Karen, I doubt that Karen would have told Sabrina because it's been established since season 1 that Andy and Karen keep things from the other girls. So I have no idea how Sabrina knew about that. So in any case, then this dude walks in, John Williams introduces himself, and then he mentions how, Andy represented his wife in his divorce, and Danny's all shit because she already knows this is going to come back to bite him in the butt. So they step outside for a bit. And say what you want about John Williams. Yeah, he's obviously another Hayden-like character who has a grudge, but I don't mind this guy because I do like what Tyler did. But dude was only in the episode like 3 minutes, but we already have a well-established knowledge of who he is as a character, his motivation, and the obstacle he's going to present. Well written. Seriously. Dude shows up for a few minutes and he's already a better character than Q ever was. Yeah. I know. I know he's supposed to be loathed because he's an obstacle to help, that will prevent Sabrina from getting out of jail. But no, he's a well-written character. But he mentions that Judge Ross is the one who's like no bail, and he's trying to get Sabrina on 30 years. And he calls out, look, first of all, you're not a criminal attorney. Secondly, that little fake paralegal, you two need to get out of here before I make some phone calls and get you in trouble. So if you want to talk about bail, then you need to get a criminal attorney down here. Because he literally, was able to read the room. And I'm like, damn, he's good. But yeah, I mean, you feel what the guy's like, look, because of you, oh yeah, you don't remember me. Oh yeah, I'm just another case, huh? And it's like, well, I have a lot of clients. Which again, this isn't Andy's fault. Like she said, she was doing her job. I just like how Tyler is like digging from the past of, you know what, you could be doing everything right, but then there might be a disgruntled client or, opponent that you had to deal with in the courtroom, and now it's coming back to bite you. It's like he said, that divorce of his was before he got into law, so yikes. But basically, he's like, look, because of you, the money I have to pay my wife in alimony, she has a boyfriend living in my house, and she won't marry him because if she does, then the money stops coming. And yeah, this is going to be good. This is going to be good. So that's pretty much the episode in a nutshell. 3 out of 10. Yeah. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. This episode didn't do the justice of being titled the 100th episode, but let me know if you agree or disagree in the comments. Like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.